Hey everyone, I'm the Tax Pro, and today I'm going to show you how to get transactions into the bank transactions page on QuickBooks Online. There's a couple of different ways that we can do this. So I'm going to show you first how to navigate there, and then how to get the transactions actually into QuickBooks Online. This is the new dashboard for the 2025 QuickBooks layout update. They've rolled out a fairly large update that's a little bit confusing. So I'm going to show you how we navigate to bank transactions now. So we can navigate directly from this dashboard. We could click here on the accounts over in this bank account section. And this will take us directly to the bank transaction page. So if I click here on primary, it's going to take me to the bank transactions page. You'll see right here, we're in bank transactions. Alternatively, if I am not on the dashboard any longer, if I'm in a different page, I can still navigate from the menu. So I can come here to my apps, go up to accounting, and bank transactions is right here. You can also bookmark it over here if you would like to later. Let me close this. So this is our bank transactions page, and this is going to show us all of the transactions that are in QuickBooks Online, either from the account that has been linked or that we've uploaded. So I'm going to show you the two different ways to do this. We can link the account to the actual bank itself. The majority of banks will support this. QuickBooks has pretty good integration. Sometimes those connections will break and you'll have to reconnect them. In order to do that, you'll see I have primary checking right here. You just click link account, and it's going to pop up asking you to put information in for the bank that you are connecting, okay? So it has a couple of different main options that are really popular on QuickBooks, or you can come in here and you could search, like if I want to find Huntington Bank right here, I can go in and I can search, I can select this. Once that happens, it's essentially going to pop up and it's going to ask you to sign in to that bank account. I'm not going to do this obviously because this is not a real account and I'm not going to sign into a bank on this video, but essentially what you would do is you'd sign in. It's going to pop up another window for you to sign into the actual bank, and then you're going to select the accounts that you want to bring into QuickBooks Online. So if you have like a business account and then a personal account on the same login, you would just select that business account that you want to put into QuickBooks Online. And then you're going to pair it with the account that you've set up in QuickBooks Online. So for example, we have a primary checking account. If that's the account that I want to set up, I will go ahead and match those. I'll select primary checking when I log in and connect those accounts. So that's one way to do it. However, sometimes bank feeds don't work. Sometimes I've had clients that just really don't want to connect their bank to QuickBooks Online for security purposes. They're just not comfortable. Or maybe we have a account that we need to import transactions from multiple years. So when you connect your account, it will give you an option to pull in past transactions, but it only goes back so far. So if we need to import transactions from longer, years ago, or if we want to just bring in a whole bulk of them and we've already done some work in a spreadsheet, we can actually import data from a spreadsheet as well. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So here is just sample bank transactions. I've literally just put this together in the last couple of minutes. And what you need to do is you need to get a spreadsheet, and it needs to have a couple of different columns. It needs to have a date column. It needs to have one or two amounts. So I'm going to show you both. We're going to start with one amount here, or we can have two amounts. So you could have like the negatives and the positives. And then you're going to need a description to essentially pull into QuickBooks. Once you have this all set up, you are going to go to File, and you are going to export it as a CSV, which is a comma separated values file. QuickBooks can take a CSV. So let me show you how we would import this. You're going to go here to the gear icon. And you are going to go under Tools. You're going to go to Import Data. It's going to ask you, what do you want to import? So it's going to also allow you to import information from other softwares if you're coming over from another program. We want to import bank data here. You're going to click on Import. And then it's going to say, okay, what account are we going to import data for? And then I can click primary checking. So I'm going to go ahead and download this really quick. So remember, if you are on Google Sheets, you're going to go to download and download a CSV. Okay, so we're going to do primary checking, and then you're going to click upload from this device. I'm going to pause it while I select my file so you guys don't see any client data. Okay, so on that past page, I went ahead and selected my file. Now, one of the weird things that this new update has been doing is once you select your file, it will pop you into this page, okay? And then you have to go back through and you have to do it again. It's really odd. I don't know why it's doing it. It's like a new kind of glitch. You can still do it. It's just gonna require you to kind of select that file twice. So again, I'm gonna pause you and I'm gonna select my file so you don't see client data. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've clicked here and I've uploaded this particular file. Then I'm going to click continue. Then it's going to say select a QuickBooks account. So here is where I'm going to tell it what account we're going to put this into. I'm going to say primary checking. And then it's going to ask us some questions about this particular file. So it's going to say, is the first row in your file a header? What that means, you'll see here that this first row, it has the titles of the actual columns in it. So we have date, amount, description. So QuickBooks is essentially saying, okay, and it's recognized yes, like it's already read it, and it's saying, yeah, we think this first line is a header. And you need to tell QuickBooks yes or no. So if you tell it yes, it is not going to import that first line, okay? So that first line will not be imported because it's not data that needs to come into QuickBooks. Now it's going to ask us how many columns show amounts, and we can do one column or two column. Right now I'm going to do one column. What's the date format used in your file? So we now need to tell it what's the date format. And our date format, if you'll see here, is 2 for the month, 2 for the day, and 4 for the year. So we're going to select this first one, but you can see that there's a variety of different formats you can do. And then it's going to ask you to select the fields. So sometimes when you download these files from your bank, which you can go in, almost all banks allow you to download transactions into CSV files or Excel files, and then you can then modify it. And these files, depending on the bank, will have various different columns. So you may have a column for date, you may have a column for description, you might see a column for an amount, maybe for a balance. Sometimes you'll see for like transaction numbers, maybe they'll have like a serial number assigned to that transaction. You'll have vendors sometimes, like you can have bank data that will be 8 to 10 columns long or wide. QuickBooks is going to ask us, what columns are we actually importing? Because if you upload a CSV file and it's 8 columns wide, QuickBooks doesn't want all of that information. There's no place to put it. So we need to tell QuickBooks what columns we actually want to bring into QuickBooks. So we're going to make sure, yes, we want the date, the description, and the amount. So it's picked up on a lot of these. Then you're going to click continue. It's going to show you now all of the different transactions, and you can select all the transactions, or you can go through and let's say, oh, I've already recorded this one, or I don't want to import this for some reason. We can unselect that one, okay? Now, if you've already entered this like via an expense transaction or via a bank deposit or something along those lines, what'll happen when you put these into the bank feed? One, it doesn't put it immediately into your books. It's gonna put it into the bank transactions page. And from the bank transactions page, you have to tell QuickBooks where that transaction needs to go. So it's not putting it directly into the books. It's just getting it into an area in QuickBooks to make it faster for you to import it or to input it. If QuickBooks sees that you've already entered the same transaction, QuickBooks will try to match that transaction with the bank feed data. Okay, so for example, if I already have a bank deposit for $2,500 on 9/1, or if I have a bank deposit for $2,500 on like 9/3, QuickBooks will most likely try to match these transactions and say, hey, these are the same. That way you're not adding a duplicate transaction. Okay, and so how do we make sure that we're not adding duplicate transactions? One, use the matching feature, but then also when you go to reconcile your bank account every month, you'll catch the double transactions there. So it's okay if you accidentally double enter a transaction. If you are following all the steps of bookkeeping that you're supposed to be doing, you will catch it during reconciliation. And I have another video on reconciling bank accounts in QuickBooks Online, so you can learn how to do that. So here what it's going to ask us is, do we want to keep the original values or do we want to reverse all the values? And you'll see that right here on this 9/1 we have a deposit and it is positive, okay? We want to make sure that all of the money coming in shows positive and all the money going out shows negative. So right here, this Intuit fee for this deposit of $25, this is negative because it is coming out. So we want to keep all of our original values. There are times where banks, when you download the CSV files, you might see where those amounts are weird and they're reversed. So you would see expenses are positive and then money coming into the account is negative. And I see that a lot with credit cards. So you can import this data into credit cards the same way that we are this bank account. I see it a lot with credit cards because it'll have all the transactions adding up to add up to your balance on your credit card. And then it'll reduce that balance by your payments. And so the payments show negative and the expenses actually show positive. In that case, we would select reverse all values, and you'll notice that it'll reverse them for you so you can make sure that that's what you want. If we click continue, it will say QuickBooks will import 12 transactions using the fields you choose. Do you want to import now? And I'm going to select yes. It's going to give me this little spinny wheel thing and it's going to import the transactions. So it'll say import completed. Next step, accept your transactions. So I'm going to select done. Okay, now I'm going to show you what it looks like when we have, and I'll show you how to use this actual bank feed in a different video. I'm just showing you how to get the data in there first. So here in the sample bank transactions, I'm going to show you what it looks like when we have multiple columns. So I'm just going to insert a column to the right, and I am going to take all of these items here. And then let's say that we have another column over here and it's just, miscellaneous, and we're going to have deposit customer, we'll have fee for deposit. So there's, maybe just some additional information over here. And some banks just automatically do this. So this fee customer. Okay. So some banks will have this. So you'll get this, and maybe there will be like more information over here, and you just have all these columns. You don't have to delete all of these columns if you don't want to. You can actually go, and we can just download this. I'm going to download it as a CSV, and I'll show you how to import this and kind of sort through the data here. So I've downloaded this. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to the gear icon, import data. We're going to import bank data. Okay, so now it wants us to select the QuickBooks account. And now I'm going to select a file. It is most likely going to kick me back to that other page again. So give me a minute to pause this. I'll select my file so you don't see client data. Okay. So once again, it has taken me to this manually import bank transactions, and it encourages you to bring in transactions automatically. This bringing in transactions automatically, it is nice. It is a nice feature that essentially cuts down your time for importing data. So here, once again, I'm going to select the file. I'm going to pause you again. Okay, so I've selected this file. It's here. I'm happy with that. I'm going to click continue. Which account are these transactions from? I'm going to select primary checking. Okay, so now it's going to ask us, tell us about the format of your data. And so we know that the first row, once again, is a header. So that is true. Yes, it's a header. How many columns show amounts? So it's recognizing one column, but we actually have 2 columns showing amounts. Okay. So we want to make sure that it says 2 columns because we have a column for outgoing and a column for incoming. Now it's going to ask us again, what is the date format used? Now we have a little bit of a different thing that we need to fill out down here. So let's recognize the date is in column 1. It is recognized that column 4 has the description, but you'll see we can actually change this to column 5 for miscellaneous if we wanted to. Amount. I'm going to leave it at description though. So here in amount, we're going to have money received and money spent. So money received for us is going to be in this incoming column. It's column 3. This is the incoming amounts. And then money spent is going to be in column 2 for outgoing. You don't need to use a check number column if you don't have one. Okay, so now it's going to say, generally income transactions, it's going to give us the same thing. Post as positive numbers, and expense transactions post as negative nuns. Do we want to keep these original values or do we want to reverse them? So if we have accidentally selected the wrong columns for importing, we have those 2 columns and we've accidentally named the wrong columns for importing, we can change that here. We could reverse all the values if we wanted to. And then you'll see the deposits are showing negative and the expenses are showing positive. So we're going to keep the original values. We need to select all the transactions we want to import. Hit continue, and then it's going to ask us that same question. Do you want to import those transactions? I'm going to say no because we've already imported them. And then X out of this. So as a summary, how do we actually get data onto this page in the bank transactions page? First, we got to navigate here. You can navigate it from the dashboard by clicking in the bank accounts here, or we could go to my apps, accounting, and bank transactions. This will take us to the bank transactions page where we can see what is in here. And as you can see, all the stuff that we had put is in there. To import the data, you're going to go to the gear icon, import data. Okay, this is how we manually import. You would select bank data and import. However, if you wanted to connect an account, you can do so from the bank transactions page. You could link the account and this will automatically bring those bank transactions over, and it will do it consistently moving forward until something happens with that bank connection. So sometimes those bank connections can last years, and sometimes there's a glitch that occurs or there's some sort of error that occurs in that connection and you have to reconnect it pretty quickly. It just depends on the bank and QuickBooks' ability to continue to connect to the bank. So sometimes the bank will change their security policies and then it will require QuickBooks to create a new connection. Okay, so this is the easiest way to do it. To connect to the bank, let QuickBooks do the work for you. Sometimes it will skip bank transactions, so it's not fail-proof. But if you need to import the data manually, you can absolutely do so via the gear icon, import data. If you have any questions, please let me know. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give us a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time, and I will show you next time how to get all of these items actually in QuickBooks.